Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsport, spanning 75 seasons where the best of the best of the best battle it out for glory every single year. And with only 34 drivers champions, you really have to be the best on the grid to take home that championship. Also, you would think F1 is unique in the way that the teams all design and develop their cars individually, or they're supposed to. And so a lot of the time, the actual best driver will not get a chance to win the championship. And in 2025, this is exactly what we are seeing. As McLaren continue their domination, there is one name that people would still consider to be the best on the grid, who will not be winning their 5th Drivers' Championship this season. And his name is Max Verstappen. But with constant transfer talks, Red Bull turmoil, and new regulations in 2026, what's next for Max Verstappen? Now, here's the thing. This has all happened before, and even just in the Red Bull family. Back in 2010, we had one of the greatest young drivers to ever grace Formula One absolutely dominate 4 seasons in a row, back to back championships. And now, of course, if you do not know who I'm talking about, this would be Sebastian Vettel. Now, the story hasn't been the exact same for Vettel and Verstappen. Of course, there are a lot of similarities, like I mentioned, both Red Bull drivers, both 4-time World Drivers' Champions, and both of them in 2014, retrospectively into 2025, heading into seasons where it doesn't look like they're going to be putting up a fight for the championship. However, the key takeaway from this is to learn from the past mistakes that have been done, as Vettel would go on to compete with the likes of Ferrari and Aston Martin, but he never got a full season-long chance again to win a championship. The closest he got was 2017. And that all comes down to just not being in the right car at the right time, as this was when the Mercedes dominance started up. And this is where Max Verstappen needs to be careful, because if he stays at Red Bull for too long, he might miss out on another chance at a championship. If he moves to someone else and they don't perform, there's another chance he doesn't win a championship. So he has to pick and choose very, very carefully at which team he joins in the future, or which team he stays at. Because again, coming back to that 2017 season, some would say it was close between Hamilton and Vettel, that Vettel probably was the best driver on the 2017 grid. But it doesn't matter if you aren't in the team that can win a championship. And that Ferrari kind of fell off in the second half of the season, and he just could not deliver anymore. So I guess it comes to the main point I'm going to be talking about a lot in this video, that in F1, it doesn't matter how impressive of a driver you are. If you're not in the right team at the right times, you're not going to win a championship to start off with, or potentially another championship to add to your tally, as there's only so much you can do by yourself. Which brings me straight back to Verstappen and his stats in 2025. Verstappen is definitely not in the fastest car this season. Averagely, I'd probably say Red Bull look like the 4th fastest car throughout the entire season, as they have just completely nosedived off a cliff in that development since 2023. But here's the thing. The stats haven't gone down. Verstappen is still the same caliber of a driver that he was when he won in 2021, 22, 23 and 24. He just doesn't have the car left. Just look at these stats. He's 3rd place in the championship right now, beating both Mercedes and Ferrari drivers, who are all in faster cars. He has 2 race wins in a season where McLaren have been absolutely dominating. 5 podiums, 1 sprint race win, 2 sprint race podiums, 177 more points than his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. And I mean, hey, even if you take Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson, who's been teammates with this season, and combine both their points from VCarb and Red Bull, he's still 157 points ahead of them. He has, bar Alpine, because Gasly's got all the points, but it's less impressive, Verstappen has the best percentage compared to a teammate for the points he brings into a team. And I still think to this day, he is the only one that can drive that Red Bull car. You put Hamilton, Alonso, Leclerc, Piastri, Norris, any of these great drivers into that Red Bull seat, and all of them would still struggle. And for me personally, that still probably puts him as the most impressive driver this season. Now, it is actually quite a close season for who looks the best. I think Piastri's been incredible this season. He's definitely up there for that contention. You also got Nico Hülkenberg and Alex Albon. However, I just think from what we've seen in the past and what we're still seeing now, Verstappen I don't think it's a debate that he's still very much the fastest driver on the grid currently. But like I mentioned, talent by itself is not good enough to win championships. And this is where Verstappen's issues start. A lot of people have been talking about where Verstappen could be in 2026, as there was a lot of rumours that he could be joining Mercedes, as Russell hasn't had his contract renewed as of yet. And Mercedes have been tipped to be the best team coming into 2026 new regs, as their power unit looks very impressive. But it's not going to happen. Verstappen's been very stern recently about how this isn't going to happen. He's going to be most likely sticking at Red Bull, and I believe it. I do think he will still be at Red Bull in 2026. As again, if he's not going to Mercedes, I think it's an even less chance for 2026 that he's going to Aston Martin right now, so there's no one else he would go to. It very much looks like he's got his way with Christian Horner being sacked. He will probably be sticking with Red Bull to see what they can do in the new regs for 2026. And then he will reevaluate his career heading into that 2027 season. But again, coming into new regs, we tend to see one team absolutely get it bang on and everyone else playing catch up. And I just can't really see it being Red Bull. I could see it being Mercedes because of all of the rumours and hype that everyone's been giving them for the new regulations. I could see it being Aston Martin for Adrian Newey. I could see it being McLaren because they've been in tip-top form recently. And I'd be surprised, considering how well their team is run now, if they weren't fighting for at least podiums next season. But Red Bull, they've not got a Mercedes engine. They've lost key staff. I just can't see a way that they're going to be contenders for 2026. And it leads me to another thing that's a little bit worrying, where Verstappen isn't the only driver where these things have happened. You have so many greats of the sport, like Alonso, Vettel, Ricciardo. All of them have had transfers that just haven't worked out, and you never know when will be either your last chance at a championship or your last chance to win another one to your name. So F1 is quite a cruel sport in that fashion, where some of these great drivers just never have really had a chance. I mean, even just look back at Fernando Alonso. He hasn't won a race since 2013. And we still see to this day, even Hungary, last race weekend, he is a top tier caliber driver. He's just not in the right cars. Go back to 2023 when Aston Martin gave him something to work with. He was so good. And hey, I have been kind of shitting on Red Bull a lot throughout this video, and there is a small chance they get 2026 right, but like I mentioned, I just can't see it working for them. Adrian Newey, he is a mastermind when you have him helping you design a car, and he's not going to be at Red Bull. He was their secret weapon that entire time. Without him, I don't think it's going to be amazing. And again, on a smaller scale, you've got Christian Horner, who's just been sacked for performances, basically. And again, it's not as if that's going to be anything crazy, but it's a big shift, as Red Bull have never not had Christian Horner as the big dog in their team for the 20 years that they've been at the sport. So again, that's going to be a big reshuffle at Red Bull. And I just think these things take a lot of time to readjust. We've seen how quickly it can crumble in F1 with teams. McLaren, from 2012 to 2023, went from the ranges of emotions of contending for championships to then dropping down to midfield, then dropping down to back markers, then coming back to fighting for podiums and wins 2023 and onwards. But some teams, like Williams, it's never happened again. You've had brilliant cars in the past, but you've never really been able to reignite the team in that way. So it's not always a given that someone who's at the top right now, like a team like Red Bull, who have been at the top basically since 2009, it's not a given that they're always going to be a great team. And I think we're going to see that in 2026. So what does this mean for Verstappen in summary? Well, like I mentioned, for 2026, I'd be very surprised if he did not stay at Red Bull. It looks like in 2026, he'll reevaluate the new regs, see what Red Bull can give him. But from that point onwards, I really don't know what's going to happen. Because it's all fun and games saying, oh, but in 2027, he can then just move to the best team because he's the best driver, who wouldn't want him. But there's contracts and team chemistry and stuff. And let's say McLaren is still the best team on the grid. They're very happy with Norris and Piastri. I don't think there's room at the end for him there. Even Mercedes, Russell's been doing absolutely brilliant. Who's to say in 2026 he doesn't go on, have a massive season, and then Antonelli's still there and Mercedes won't want to get rid of them there. Coming into Aston Martin, Lance Stroll, if he still wants to try something, they're probably not going to budge there. Maybe he could move into there, but again, Will Aston Martin be the fastest car? Who knows? And it might be a Vettel situation again, where Vettel went from Red Bull to Ferrari, and by all means, Ferrari were a great team at the time. Comfortably second, third fastest car all the time. And at some points, first fastest, not for an entire length of a season, but definitely could win races. And let's say he goes to Aston Martin and then the second, third fastest team. He's not going to be able to win a championship with that car. So who will be the fastest teams in 2026 and 2027? Who knows? Only time will tell. But the gist of this video is, just remember in F1, even though you can be the best of the best of the best, the fans can think you are the best driver on the grid right now. If you're not in the right team, it doesn't matter. And we're going to find out very soon with Verstappen if 4 is potentially all he can get. Because hey, it won't be the first and it won't be the last time that a great driver just doesn't ever get another chance. Comment down below, what do you think of Verstappen so far this season in 2025? Has he been the best driver on the grid? Because I will say, it is very close between, for me, him, Piastri, Hulkenberg, maybe Albon, and I mean, you've got to give a little bit credit to Norris as well. He's still in the championship fight. Will Verstappen keep third in that championship? Because it's looking very close. Where will he be for 2026? I still think it will be Red Bull. I'd be very surprised if it was anywhere else. What team could you see him joining if he did leave Red Bull? But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hey, enjoy the rest of, well, the end of the week, or whenever you're watching this. Take care, everyone.